It's the last Sunday of the month. We have one more chance. When upon life's billows you are tempest tossed, when you are discouraged thinking all is lost, count your many blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God hath done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. So amid the conflict, whether great or small, do not be discouraged, God is over all. Count your many blessings, angels will attend. Help and comfort give you till your journey's end. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. Yes. I hope that sticks in your brain and stays with you all week long. So welcome to Unity of Music City, a place for authentic transformation. And I want you to know that we honor every single one of you on your spiritual path. There are many spikes in the wheel, but they all lead to one place, and that is spiritual transformation and oneness with each other. And that is what we are here to celebrate every day. So we'll start it off by saying our vision, mission, and purpose. Let's say this together. Let's all stand to say this if you're able to. Our vision: to remember the universal presence alive in each of us. Our mission: we create experiences for expanding consciousness and awakening infinite possibilities. And our purpose: we create a sacred space for authentic transformation. So remain standing, and we're going to sing "We Are Blessed and We Are Thankful." I'm so glad that we are here. I feel the Spirit ever near.
Feel the Spirit ever near.
We are friends and family.
We are friends and family.
Singing praises joyfully.
Singing praises joyfully. Good morning. Good morning. There's time for announcements. We have a few this morning. Beliefs Roundtable discussion coming up on Tuesday, December the 7th at 6 p.m. Now, this is via Zoom, correct? And we are asking before the meeting that we spend a little bit of time, that we gather some principles and values and phrases and words that would describe what you currently see for our congregation, as well as the projection you have for the future as to who we are, what we're moving forward to and becoming. We will then collaborate at the Zoom meeting together on the 7th on these thoughts at the meeting. You can email your thoughts to unityofmusiccity@gmail.com or at Frank A. Castellano at gmail.com. Okay. Now, hear this one again. I didn't do that one very well. Frank A. Castellano, Castellano at gmail.com. Please check your email website for the Zoom information. So, every Tuesday we have a happenings email that comes out, so you'll be seeing that link to do that. We have a book discussion that's continuing every Wednesday night until February the 23rd from 6 to 7:30 p.m. via Zoom. The book, Everything is Here to Help You by Matt Kahn. We'll be taking a break for Christmas and New Year's week, so, just log that in up there. It's facilitated by Valerie Dennison. She does a great job. And so you can call or text at 615-414-8899 for more information or book scholarships. Hay House Publishers is currently selling the book for $5.
I think this is the last week for that.
Bargain. Okay, last week for that. Please see the weekly happenings or check our website for information and for the Zoom address. For December 1st, Balancing Masculine and Feminine, chapters 4 in the book, pages 55 and 60 through 68. That should be a good one. Unity of Music City is calling members to consider fulfilling a role as member at large. This is someone who would serve on the Leadership Council, attend monthly meetings, learn how Unity of Music City conducts business, and serve on the committees, different committees that are part of the leadership. Please email the office at unityofmusiccity@gmail.com if you have something you feel that this is something you're called to do. Okay, we really, really want to have someone as member at large. The prayer chaplains are available always for prayer concerns that you may have. If you have a prayer, please let the chaplains be aware of that. You can email the prayer request to uofmcprayerrequests@gmail.com. There is also a prayer box. I don't think the prayer box is here today. Is the prayer box still here?
Yeah.
Okay, prayer box is here today in the back of the room. So if you're here and you want to drop something in there, it is here for you. Also, one announcement that's off the sheet this morning. Yes, we collected shoes last Sunday, right? And we collected 30 pairs of shoes for Souls for Souls. So, good job, everybody. And some of you that are not here in person this morning, some of you contributed to that. So we're thankful, and great shoe turnout. All right. Let's sing again, right?
All right, this is the last week for our blessing monthly mantra. So I'd like for all of us to stand on this. I know it's a slow song, but as you sing this song today, offer it up as a prayer, because we are so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so so grateful.
I am so
For all that I have, I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. And we are. Please be seated.
Good morning. Today's affirmation is, I am awakened and I trust my intuition. Now together, please. I am awakened and I trust my intuition. One morning, as the Buddha sat under a tree, a man approached him with a question. This man was a devoted follower of the Lord Rama, so devoted, in fact, that he spent his entire life chanting Rama, Rama, Rama. After a lifetime of chanting God's name, the man had just a little doubt, just a touch. He saw people around him enjoying their lives while he had spent his entire life chanting to God. Had he wasted his life? So he asked the Buddha, is there a God? And the Buddha answered, no. The Buddha's disciples heard this and were happy. No God. No one watching every move you make. Ah, what a relief. That evening, another man came. This was a man of science and knowledge. He had spent his entire life not believing in God, and in fact, proving to others there was no God. But he was getting older, and he had just a little doubt, just a touch. What if there was a God? And what if the man's impending death would be met with God's judgment and vengeance? So he came to the Buddha and asked, is there a God? And the Buddha answered, yes. The disciples of the Buddha were very confused now. What was this game that Buddha was playing? The game was this: to take away all beliefs so that nothing would muffle the intuitive message. Nothing would hinder the awakening to Buddhahood. When I set everything aside, even the beliefs I cling to, I am awakened, and I can trust my own intuition.
So let's just take a moment to step into the silence together. And as we do, let us value and honor true communion with God to such a degree that we are willing to set everything else down. Even the beliefs that we have nurtured over the years, the beliefs that we have refined, rejecting what did not ring true, accepting what did ring true, clinging only to those things that felt true, even those. Just let them go. For just a moment, can it be just you and God? No personality, no hopes and dreams, no fears and failures, no desires for tomorrow or regrets for yesterday. No closely held beliefs, no ideology, no dogma, no creed. Just you and God, with nothing between you, nothing separating you. Not hearing the voice of God through the muffling lens of your belief system, not having to have intuitive wisdom pass through an ideology, but instead just fully trusting. You can do that for just a moment, right? For just a moment, you can lay it all down. And ask the divine to meet you in the silence. Just the two of you. Just the one of you. And in that place, listen to what springs up within you. Listen to whatever message you might receive. Listen and accept. As it is, not as it fits into your beliefs, but as it is. Listen with me now, in this moment that we step into the silence together. In the silence. In the silence. Nothing is more important than communing with God. Nothing is more important than sitting in oneness with the divine. What I believe is not as important. What I think is not as important. Anything that happens in this world is not as important as being in communion with God. An unhindered conversation with the divine. not shaped by what we think or what we believe, but simply allowed to be the intuition that it is, showing up, fully accepted, fully welcomed. That is the essence of faith, is to make space for communion with God. And when we do that together, we are one. We are one.
In the silence of this moment, there's a holy presence near. In the silence of this moment, Spirit whispers and I hear. In the silence of this moment, my search for hope is done. In the silence of this moment, God and I are one. In the silence of this moment, my search for hope is done. In the silence of this moment, God and I are one.
Good morning, everybody. I am so glad that you have arisen from your tryptophan coma to join us here today. We welcome you. We welcome all of you who are watching. I know several of our folks are not here today and watching there, so welcome. Enjoy your leftovers. Mine are waiting for me at home. Happy post-Thanksgiving. We spent the month of November talking about gratitude, and today is going to be our last gratitude talk. So we had, there we go, there it is. The gratitude of awakening is what we're talking about today. All A words, right? It's the law. Everything, if you have a series, they all have to start with the same letter. So the very first, we talked about the fact, let me make sure I don't jump ahead of myself. We talked about the fact that gratitude and abundance are flip sides of the same coin. It's like a yin and a yang. They go together. You cannot have one without the other, right? You might have wealth without gratitude, but I don't believe you have abundance, right? So that gratitude and that abundance go hand in hand. In the first week of November, we talked about the gratitude of acceptance and how the abundance that comes with living in the gratitude that is acceptance, because when we accept, we are expressing gratitude, right? I accept this. And so that kind of gratitude brings us the abundance of peace. And we use the affirmation, I accept my divine essence and I am at peace. And then the second week, we talked about the gratitude of acknowledgement that brings us the abundance of oneness. I acknowledge you, I acknowledge myself, I acknowledge my divine presence. And that brings me this gratitude of oneness. And our affirmation was, I acknowledge the beauty in my life and I am grateful. And then last week we talked about the gratitude of awareness that brings us an abundance of understanding as I become more and more aware of my divine nature and my true self, that I have a deep understanding. We used to sing about it as when I was a child, the peace that passeth understanding, right? This deep kind of an understanding that's beyond even the brain kind of understanding. And we had the affirmation, I'm aware of my divine presence and I live in the grace of spiritual understanding. And what a place of grace that is. It is the seat of grace. And today we're talking about the gratitude of awakening, which brings us the abundance of intuition. And we had this affirmation, I am awakened and I trust my intuition. So the first question we always have when we're talking about awakening and intuition is this: what the heck is it? What does it mean to be awakened, right? How do I know when it has happened? Do I start to vibrate or something? Or hover above the ground? What is it that lets me know that I'm awakened? Surely, at the very least, this life will start to make sense. We got the peanut gallery over here. Surely, at the very least, this life will start to make sense. I won't have any need for any more lessons because I am awakened, right? You can go to the Google, my best friend, the Google, and you can ask that question. What does it mean to be spiritually awakened? And you will get so many responses back. I mean, it would just it breaks the internet for you to ask that question. There are lots of definitions, but most of these boil down to something kind of like this. Here are some kind of clues of awakening. You have destroyed a delusion that you are outside of oneness. You just no longer accept that delusion. I am part of the oneness. You no longer just see the world through ego, but you now experience the world through the peace and understanding of oneness. You start to give a little grace, right? Because you see things from a different level. Maybe you get a little bit more intuitive. I think, Frank, I don't think I'm wrong to say this. We all have intuitive powers. And the more we awaken, the more we just open those up. We trust them. We hear them louder. We listen to them more. You might feel yourself observing situations more than experiencing them from a reactionary place. Right? You might just go, as Denise used to say, wow. Right? Look at you go there. Wow. You might learn to be more willing, more open to acknowledging your own patterns of behavior. And not from judgment so much as with gratitude for the awareness. You might just see yourself go, oops, there I go again. You see that? You see, there I am, slipping into my pattern. And you might even be grateful for what it's teaching you. It's showing back up again. And maybe you sense a new determination to alter in a more positive direction. Not because you're judging who you were, because you see that there might be a better way. You might feel yourself letting go of attachment. And you might even be realizing that the old fear you had, the fear that detachment would mean loss, right? Isn't that why we cling? Because if I let go, it means loss. That old fear was a delusion, and you see that now. You see how much more freely love and joy can flow through non-attachment. You might notice more synchronicity in your life, and perhaps for a brief time you even ponder whether this is a new phenomenon or something you are just noticing. Has there always been this synchronicity here and I just didn't pay attention? And then you know you're really awakened when you realize it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You might feel more and more like the authentic expression of yourself. You might see that you feel more compassion for others, which is a natural outcropping of oneness. So congratulations. If you have ticked the box or nodded your head on any one of those things I've said, you are awakened. No hovering required. You don't even have to think about a vibration. Well, I'm not going to go there. You are awakened, and welcome. Welcome to your awakening. Now, it's often a spiritual teacher, or maybe even several, who help guide us in the direction of our awakening. And it is also sometimes really big life events that awaken us. And I'm sorry to say that a lot of times those life events have to do with loss, heartbreak, grief. We have to feel like something's being ripped away from us in order to wake up, right? Really jumpstart that awakening. But at those times, people are often compelled to ashrams and monasteries and spiritual retreat centers. I think of the movie Eat, Pray, Love, which is one of my favorite movies. And when she goes through a big loss and a heartbreak, she goes off first to Italy to eat her way through Italy, which I think was a brilliant first step, frankly. And then, of course, she heads to the ashram in India to spend an extended period of time there, to really strip everything away and say, what is left? Because people are drawn to these things because they've reached the end of a rope that they didn't even know they had. And when they did know they have it, they didn't know it had an end until they reached the end of it. And somewhere usually along the way is one or another spiritual teachers, right? Because in the beginning and along the way, we seem to need a guru at times. I like the word guru. Now, guru, this is kind of a folk etymology. This is not a linguistic etymology, but the belief and the accepted folk etymology is that gu is the sound of darkness, ru is the sound of light, and therefore a guru brings light into the darkness, is a dispeller of darkness, right? One who points the way. There's a connotation of teacher, but it's a little bit deeper than that, kind of like a guide or a counselor, a Sherpa. And one of the best definitions that I found was a sort of parent to the soul, right? It's like a parent to your soul, the spiritual parent. When a person presents in your life as a spiritual teacher, an awakened one, that person, at the moment of your encounter with them, is engaged in the business of spiritual teaching. And they look like it, right? So that's Enoch Fuzz over there, our good friend Enoch Fuzz from Corinthian Baptist Church, a friend of this congregation, a man we know well. On the right is Swami Ananda Saraswati, right? Both of these men at that point are dressed as the guru they are, right? They are dressed to be a guru. And there's something that's kind of profound about that, putting on the clothes of the guru, right? And when you meet them, when you encounter them, they're in front of a group of people, they're speaking or they're answering questions. Maybe they've written a book, you've read their book, they're being interviewed, they're on video, right? There's some kind of lens, a special context in which you're seeing them. They have on the right clothes, they say the right things, and they say them emphatically. And perhaps they say the precise thing that your spirit longs to hear in that moment. You have been doing the work that led you to the place of listening to this guru. You've plowed the field. You've made the place ready for seeds to be planted. And the one who plants the seeds that take becomes the guru, the bringer of light to the darkness, the dispeller of the darkness for you. And you might even revere that person, look up to that person, right? In Hindu traditions, the guru is deeply revered, right? This is Ramana Maharshi, who is pretty much the father of modern Advaita Vedanta, non-duality. Right? So he was the guru of Punja, Papaji, who was the guru of Muji, who has been one of my spiritual teachers. In the Hindu tradition, you would usually often have a picture of your guru in your home or on your altar, right? You might even have a picture of your guru's guru. Every time Mooji goes into satsang, sitting on the stage with him is a picture of Papaji and Ramana Maharshi as an honoring. He's acknowledging his spiritual lineage. That's what it is. These are the parents of my soul. Now, that might sound strange, just a little bit strange to us. If you grew up in a really Christian world like I did, and Ryan did, and Sherry did, and so many of us did, we might look at that and go, well, that's kind of weird. You're just honoring this person. But there were very few homes when I was growing up that didn't have this picture in it. Right? That exact picture right there. On the stage, I think in the front of our hymnal we had it for a while. This picture, by the way, was drawn, written, painted. There we go. It was painted. It was written. It was painted by a man, I can't remember his name right now, but it was 1940. And of course, this was one of the most important, this has been the most shared picture of Jesus. This is one of the primary reasons why Jesus is seen as a white Western European man when that is not what he was, right? And he was a brown Mideastern man. But that's one of the reasons why. But there's a reverence there. There's revering our spiritual parent, honoring the spiritual lineage. And by the way, many scholars of Hinduism and guru sociology refer to Jesus as a guru. He fits all of the definitions of guru. You ask someone from the Krishna society, who was Jesus? And they say, oh, he was the guru. That's who he was. Christ, the guru, the bringer of light. Right? Also in the Hindu tradition, it is not uncommon for devotees to refer to their guru as master or another equally reverential name. Now, the first time I ever watched a satsang of Mooji's and someone walked up to the microphone to ask a question and they put their hands together in a prayer hands and they said master, I was a little weirded out by that. There was a part of me that was like, what the heck is going on here? I'm not so sure about this. I'm not sure I like that at all. And so I waited and I listened, and of course it never seemed weird to me when the disciples referred to Jesus as master, right, in the scriptures. Or someone who wants to be healed comes up and touches the hem of his garment and says, master, if all you have to do is say the word, and I'm healed. I also began to notice that this was not something that Mooji insisted upon. He didn't get upset if someone stepped up and simply said, Mooji, I have a question. Okay? Right? He was simply allowing each person to express in whatever way they felt comfortable. Let this relationship be what it needs to be for you. Let this teaching point to what it needs to point to for you. Now, here's what happens when we revere people, because we have a tendency to do this. Every single person has a tendency to do this. We put someone up on a pedestal. I watched it with my father. I used to call him the assistant Messiah, right? Because he was put up on a pedestal by people, and when you put people on a pedestal, they fall. Every time. They are going to fail you. I suppose that it is possible for there to be some truly advanced person who would never reveal any flaws. Notice I didn't say who would not have any flaws. They would never reveal any flaws. But I'm going to step right on out on a limb and say I don't know who they would be. Now, the shine can come off of a guru in two ways. Either they publicly fail by getting caught in violation of their own declared principles, or you, as the devotee, that's what they call someone in Hindu religion. You are the devotee. You, as the devotee or follower or student of this person, begin to question their philosophies. So the first way, the getting caught way, has involved a great number of fundamentalist preachers getting caught with their pants down, literally. It has also involved, at times, spiritual leaders being exposed as con artists, right? They're just in it for the money. I have found a way. Anybody watch The Righteous Gemstones? There you go. There you go. If you haven't, it's hilarious. It's on HBO, I think. They're just in it. Now, those types of great moral failings, if you will, they're kind of in a place all by their little lonesome, right? We're going to talk about the folks who we assume have some intent of goodwill, some good faith in their behavior. What is most damaging with those folks who are the con artists or have the sordid affairs or the grifters or whatever it is, it's not even what they're doing that is so horrible. It's the hypocrisy. It's the fact that people believed in you and trusted in you, and now they don't know what to believe. You've damaged something very precious to people. But perhaps you've also done them a favor in some ways. Now they have to go back and recreate on their own what it is they believe. This situation happened with my father. My father was a minister, very charismatic. People loved him, the assistant Messiah. He had an affair. He got found out. And then people literally would come to me and say things like, "We almost lost our faith when we heard about your father." And I immediately knew, well, what was your faith in? Because he's got lots of problems. You haven't even seen all the problems he's got. You had your faith in the wrong thing if this person failed and you lost everything. Now, the second way that a guru can lose their shine is that a student begins to question some of the basic premises that are being taught. And lately, I have seen several people speak out in a public way against spiritual teachers they used to admire. I've seen that happen for years, right? We've all seen that kind of thing happen. I used to admire this person, I sat under their tutelage, and now I'm mad at them, and I'm going to speak out. There's someone that I follow on Facebook who is a bit of a public figure, and I'm not even going to mention his name because you'll see in a moment there's a very specific reason why I don't mention his name. Because I don't want to engage in that same behavior. And so there's a person I follow. I don't even know how I started following this person on Facebook. It just was, some kind of happy accident. And so he recently posted a similar kind of complaint, a complaint about some philosophies that he used to believe. And he wrote this beautiful post about his own journey and how he's moved beyond an old idea of enlightenment to something that more fully encompasses the human experience. The messy, the raw, the painful, the mistake-ridden human experience. He's moved away from the love and light, right? We all make that joke, right? He's moved away and he's now living in a place of trying to take his spiritual understanding into real human experiences. He wrote about having in his old idea of enlightenment a sense of disconnected oneness. Now that is paradoxically at the same time an oxymoron, and I can completely see the truth in it. Right? That sense of disconnected oneness that kept him removed from much of life. He referred to that stage of his life as, quote, a lie, a myth, a joke, a terrible fraud, and I fell for it, end quote. Now, in this post, he mentioned 5 people by name who he held responsible for perpetuating this terrible fraud. I didn't know all of the names, but I knew 2 of them. One was Byron Katie, and one was Muji. 2 people I happen to admire. They've both brought me a lot. Their work has brought me a lot. And in the beginning, I felt a pushback. Oh, you obviously don't understand what they're really teaching. You need to approach them in a different way. You're just mad and you're acting out. I had all these kind of pushbacks. But I realized also that these complaints are complaints that I have heard before. Complaints that someone is sending a transcend the ego message, and that's being used as an excuse for being detached from the problems of the world. Just transcend the ego and just spread positive affirmations on everything, and you don't have to see people engaged in a civil war. Right? You don't have to really deal with the real nitty-gritty of people in generational poverty. I've seen people complain that the message that this physical person is not the real you is used as a justification for bad behavior. And that there's a slippery escape hatch which is used when others are hurt by your behavior, and someone just, well, that's their stuff. They're just projecting, and I don't have to take responsibility for the fact that my behavior might have damaged you, might have hurt you. And I've seen people complain about that. So at this point, you might be thinking, well, thanks, Deb. You started off talking about awakening, and now you got us wondering who we can believe. Who's telling the truth? How do we know who to trust? Well, I'm not here to tell you who are the good gurus and which are the bad gurus, because they can all be good and they can all be bad, I suppose. But I have come up with 3 guru rules. They're not really rules, but I could not resist guru rules, right? I have come up with 3 guru rules and one far more important point, all right? So let's deal with the 3 guru rules here. Number 1, gurus are human. And when I say guru, know that I'm talking about spiritual leader, minister, preacher, imam, whatever you want, yogi, priest, whatever you want to call it. Anybody who stands up and shares spiritual knowledge. Gurus are human beings who are still evolving. Sometimes, in fact, I think that the people who stand up in front are the people who are so weak that they need the extra protection that comes from living right here, right? They need the support of their followers, of their congregants, of the people around them. Just a theory. These folks need grace. They've learned some really tough lessons, big lessons. I've always been profoundly moved by the opening of Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. I think it's in the prologue to that, where he talks about the experience he had where he just literally had sat on a park bench for like a year, right? And so they've learned big lessons, sometimes in very dramatic and painful ways, and they're willing to make their journey public for the benefit of others. Some of the greatest teachers of all time had well-known flaws. Right? Martin Luther King Jr. liked women. Right? Mother Teresa still has many critics who question her motives and her methods and her sainthood. Gandhi was accused of misogyny and racism. And when these flaws are discovered by someone, when someone finds a flaw in a spiritual teacher, there's kind of this, aha, got ya. And what tends to happen then is everything falls down around them. I have got you, and this will destroy everything you stand for. Now I can't believe anything you say because I have seen this major flaw in you. And because their cause, their message seemed pure to these people listening to it, when they themselves, the leader, the teacher, the guru, is seen as impure, then everything falls down around them. More than a reputation is ruined. Sometimes an entire belief system crumbles. You see, we held them hostage to our own delusion of their perfection. I used to say with my father, everything might have been different if ministers could have had the room to step out and say, I have messed up. I am so deep in my own humanness this week. I'm not even sure I have the right to stand up here and say anything. But, I never saw that happen. Never saw that happen. Be prepared for teachers to let you down. They will. And when they do, you might just say, there it is. There's the humanness. I was ready for it. I knew it would come. They're human. If other people have been let down by a teacher you still revere, just let it be. I think there's a certain level of evolution that we're on when we need to lash out at the teacher before, and I believe there's an evolutionary place beyond that. That's all I'll say about it. But I don't think we need to necessarily speak out, unless someone is causing real damage, of course. But that person who's been disappointed speaking out, that's their journey. They get to be on it. Let them be on it. Right? The sticky part here is when teachers have done real damage to other people. So we call that spiritual malpractice, and we can be really quick to use that term sometimes. If a spiritual teacher is like imprisoning people or abusing children, that needs to be called out. I mean, we all know where the lines are, right? And those lines, they cannot be crossed. But if you're mad because a spiritual teacher advocates for transcending the ego and then you think that it makes them act uncaring or unkind, might I suggest that that isn't necessarily spiritual malpractice? It may just be time for you to move on to your next teacher. It may be the universe saying, I need to move you on. Or maybe it's an indication, and here's the important piece, an indication that you're not holding them loosely. You're holding them too tightly and having an expectation of perfection from them. So the second guru rule is this. First, they are humans. Secondly, where is it? There it is. The guru buffet is A-OK. Don't try this at home, people. I'm a professional. It's okay to use a smorgasbord approach, right? As an awakened being, you trust your intuition more than any human being. You trust your communion with God more than anything else. When Mooji or Byron Katie or Esther Hicks or Carl Jung or Deepak Chopra or the Dalai Lama or Jesus or Joel Osteen, excuse me, let me just fling that there. Notice, Joel Osteen made things fall off. When they say anything that resonates as truth in your spirit, accept it. Truth can come from the strangest places. Right? Accept it. Remember, the gratitude of acceptance brings peace. Let the truth be the truth, bigger even than the guru, who's really just the messenger anyway. It's okay to be totally into one teacher for a while. We've all done that. And then you kind of outgrow them, or maybe you just get tired of them, or maybe you've pretty much integrated their message and you're ready to move on. Ready to hear something new. And when they say something or act in a way that doesn't feel like truth to you, just let it be. They're human. It doesn't discount the truth you received from them at another time. You know, I've often said that I'm a spiritual hummingbird. I get nectar from a lot of different flowers. And that works for me. That works really, really well for me. I can come here and I can get fed. I can listen to someone and get fed, read a book and get fed. I can stop in Aroma G's and get fed. Right? So, the guru buffet is A-OK.
Turn that into a t-shirt for you.
Thank you very much. The third guru rule is that gurus are products of their time. Spiritual teachers are products of their time. They share timeless truths, and that's what we want to hold them to, this timeless truth. But they're products of their time. There's kind of a paradox here. We are looking for ancient, timeless truth with a capital T that must have always been true. The truth that sustains the universe. And at the same time, I believe we're all still evolving. I think we're all still evolving together, quite frankly. Eckhart Tolle said recently that he believes there's a great spiritual awakening happening during this pandemic, and I believe it's true. I've seen it happen around me. I revere certain bygone teachers, but I also recognize that they express in and through the constructs of their day. When I read Ralph Waldo Emerson, I have to think mid-18th century. 19th century, excuse me. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, who founded the Unity movement, were amazing spiritual teachers. And I believe that Charles Fillmore himself would say, please evolve beyond me. You will do greater things than I have done. Please take this and use it as a stepping stone. Don't set up house. I think these are important questions as we're looking at what we believe is a spiritual community. Right? I can hear the timeless truth in much of what they say, but I believe they would want us to move on. Maybe the teacher's job is to bring you to a certain point, and your job is to take it further. Maybe your job is to outgrow them. My own students at school, I want them to do better than I have done. I'm a college professor. I want them to win a Nobel Prize. Right? I want them to take it even further. So those are the 3 guru rules, but now we have one more, far more important point. The far more important point, I can't get that out. The far more important point, guru rules. The far more important point is this: be your own guru. Trust the intuition made clear in your awakening. You have it. It is there. Listen. Put everything aside when you commune with the divine, even your beliefs about how it's supposed to be, even the people you listen to. Your awakening won't look like anybody else's. You don't have to hover or vibrate. Right? It's going to look like what it looks like. You don't have to suddenly become holy and walk around with mala beads around your neck unless you want to. You don't have to follow this teacher or abandon that teacher or hold your mouth the right way or wear the right clothes or hold the right crystals. There's no need for speaking out against teachers because you already knew they were human. You can recognize the truth you receive from them. You can let the rest go. You can hold them loosely. You can hold people you've known through unity loosely. You can please God, hold me and anything I say loosely. Take what resonates as truth. Use it. The rest of it, when I speak crap, just let it go. Go to the places that feed your spirit, and of course, I hope that Unity of Music City is one of those places. As we think through the questions about who we are as a spiritual community, I hope that one definition of us is that we recognize the guru in each other. That we encourage and nurture each other's awakened intuitive insights. Now keep in mind, one little disclaimer about that. Be very careful about the insights you have for other people, right? I trust your intuitive insights, but you need to leave my life to me and my God and my understanding, my communion. I hope that we recognize this guru in each other and we used each other's awakened intuitive insights to share wisdom and to grow together and evolve together and to become a community of gurus and light bringers and darkness dispellers for the world and for each other. We've talked many, many times about how church is different these days. Church is changing. The idea of spiritual community is changing. And I believe who we are and the point we are at this moment in trying to redefine, trying to get in touch with what we really believe, who we really are, is crucial on this spot on the earth. It's crucial in our community for us to see ourselves as intuitive, awakened beings. Not different from others, not higher than others, not I'm awakened and you're not awakened, but awakened to the point of true oneness, true connection. And if we can become that, if we can become what we already are, and define it and see it and act in that way with each other, what a glorious thing that will be. Namaste.
What a glorious thing that will be. I think all of us have experienced that to some extent in our lives, so the downfall of the guru and the disappointment that comes with that. And what a great way to look at it is, you know what, we're all here to learn. We're all here to learn. Hold on loosely. Don't hold on loosely to your tithes and offerings, though. Hang on to them tightly until you put them in the bucket in the back, or till you go to Unity of Music City, the website, and give of your tithes and offerings there. And as you're thinking about giving today, let's say our offertory blessing. Together, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And let's all sing together, infinite abundance. I live in the midst of infinite abundance. I give freely and fearlessly to life. I live in the midst of infinite abundance, and life gives back to me. I live in the midst of infinite abundance. I give freely and fearlessly to life. I live in the midst of infinite abundance, and life gives back to me. And life gives back to me. So it is. Well, let's all stand together and say the prayer for protection.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Here we go. All is well, life is good. We are truly blessed. All is well, life is good. We are truly blessed. All is well, life is good. We are truly blessed. All is well, life is good. We are truly blessed. All is well, life is good. We are truly blessed. All is well, life is good. We are truly blessed. We are truly blessed. We are truly blessed. And so it is. Thank you all for coming. We'll see you next week.
Next week.